simply got to. If someone takes a spill, it's me and not you. Who told you you're allowed to rain on my parade? I'll march my band.
Greetings from Castle Corey, from Mickey, Aurora, and from me. Before Aurora licks me to death, and before, quite frankly, I boil to death because it's so hot. I am going to. Mickey has slithered off to the other end of the sofa very sensibly, and Aurora is in my arms. But maybe she will do us a favor. And, okay, Aurora, come. It's okay, you can stay, honey. You can stay. Okay. We have a lot of ground to cover today. And so I'm going to plunge right in with Stephanie Green, who says, Lady C, I was saddened to hear of Ivana Trump's passing. I believe you've mentioned that you knew her. Could you please share some memories? Thank you. And Aggie Ripley says, on the same subject, in your riveting autobiography, Life Worth Living, thank you very much, there is a photo of you with the Duke of Northumberland at Ivana Trump's engagement party at Zion House to Italian industrialist Riccardo Mazzucchelli. You must have known her pretty well to be there. What was she like? I'm sure I'm not alone in wanting to know. Well, thank you both and other people who asked questions as well. I wouldn't say I knew Ivana well, but I certainly knew her socially, let's put it that way. In our world, there are gradations of friendship. You have your personal friends, your close personal friends, then your personal friends, then you have your social friends. Then you have chums, which can pip social friends to the post. I would have said Ivana and I were social friends. Let's put it that way. I first met her in, I think it was 1992. She'd just been recently made over because she'd sort of got the Brigitte Bardot look, and she and Donald were divorced, and she had had a bit of work done, and she looked fabulous. I think, I could be wrong, but I think I first met her at Royal Ascot at the Brigadier Gerard's ball in 1992 with Liz Brewer. Now, Liz Brewer is an old friend of mine. We've been friends since June 1973. And Liz met Ivana socially. And Liz is the queen of society PR in this country. Her equivalent in America would be Christine Biddle, who is the queen of old guard American society. To those of you who are American and know how these things work. There are many people way down the rungs of the ladder who you might have heard more of. People like Sunshine Sachs. Well, Liz and Christine function at this level. And anyway, to cut a long story short, because I don't want to go into this into too much detail and take too much time. Liz met Ivana. Ivana and she struck up a friendship, and then Ivana asked her to represent her in London and organise her social life in London. Ivana was one of those rich divorcees who came over to Britain and decided she liked the European way of life. And remember, she was European as well. And that she would hopefully find someone in England. And in the meantime, she was going to have a fabulous life, and she did. Liz organised a wonderful social life for her. And in fact, it's thanks to Liz that Ivana met her next husband, husband number 3. Because husband number 1 was, I think he was an Austrian who married her so that she could get out of Czechoslovakia. And I have to tell you, Ivana Trump was a very beautiful woman when she was younger. She was glamorous, she was stylish, she was very down to earth, surprisingly. She was extremely intelligent. She was extremely capable. Liz has always said that it's thanks to Ivana that she learned the art of looking at every single detail. Ivana quibbled down to the hairpin on a bill, which of course is how she came a cropper with the Queen's cousin, Lady Elizabeth Anson, better known socially as Liz Shackley, because Liz Anson Shackley organised a party for Ivana. And what does Ivana do? She sends her in a bill that is inaccurate. I think she had charged VAT twice, and Ivana noticed it and refused to pay the bill. And Liz rather naively thought, oh, well, I'm the Queen's cousin. I'm going to take this woman to court, and lost ignominiously. It was quite a scandal socially at the time. But Ivana was a brilliant businesswoman. Donald Trump himself has said, and incidentally, to those of you who are wondering, I've never met Donald Trump. Okay, I've never met him. But he has often said, according to all sorts of people who do know him, that much of his success was due to Ivana's nous, her charm, her intelligence, and her ability. She was a real grafter in terms of working hard. She set up his hotels, she ran this, she ran that, she ran the other. You may not have liked her taste, but it doesn't alter the fact that she was very capable. So she engages Liz Brewer. She starts to spend a lot of time in England. Liz takes her to wait for it. You're not going to believe this. Mimi O'Connell, who was Lily Safra's best friend, and if memory serves me correctly, and I could be wrong because it's so long ago, at the height of my lawsuit against Lily Safra, Mimi and I were at a party together. And unless I'm confusing her with someone else, which is a possibility, it's so long ago, I said to her that I knew they were very good friends. And she said they actually at one time were sisters-in-law. I never pursued how they became sisters-in-law. If she didn't tell me, someone else at the party when we were all talking did. But anyway, because it's ironic, we speak about Lily Safra last week, and this week, poor Ivana dies, and at only 73, which is no age nowadays. And we're now talking about Ivana's life, and Mimi O'Connell is the one who introduced Ivana to Riccardo Mazzucchelli. Now, to show you what a small world this is, Riccardo's first wife, Stella, she was Stella Metaxa. If you know anything about Greece, you know that the Metaxa family is one of the great Greek families. And Stella was ravishingly beautiful. And Riccardo was very good looking. But I met Stella at Peter Ripley, who was the chairman of the United Nations Association Fundraising Committee in 1977. And Peter asked me to join the Ambassadorial Ball Committee, which I was delighted to do. And Peter and I have remained great friends from that day to this. At her house on South Audley Street was this beautiful woman with a fur hat, Stella Mazzucchelli. So I had known Riccardo from the 1970s. And yes, I did go to Riccardo and Ivana's engagement party, which was held at Zion House, organised by Liz Brewer. Fabulous party, really beautiful. And for those of you who like the fashion world, at the time, Harry Northumberland was going out with Valerie Campbell. Harry was the Duke of Northumberland, the late Duke of Northumberland. He died rather young, rather sadly. His brother is the present Duke. And Harry was going out with Valerie Campbell. And that Valerie Campbell is Naomi Campbell's mother. So, just so you know how the land lay in those days. Well, I used to see Ivana from time to time, but as I say, we were never personal friends. We were really social chums. Once, for instance, that springs to memory very quickly, we were all seated at the same table at the Russian summer ball. Liz Brewer was there, Ivana was there, I don't remember who else was there. Well, Riccardo and Ivana got divorced. And I think the marriage lasted about 2 years. I wasn't entirely surprised, I'll tell you, because I didn't think they were well suited. They got divorced and she met somebody, a supposed singer called Rossano Rubicondi, I think was his name. Much younger than her, good looking, utterly charming, but very much someone to watch. He, it is said, and I don't want to go into too many details now, because it would be insensitive, because poor Ivana isn't even buried yet. But she fell madly in love with him. The wedding was held at Mar-a-Lago. Donald helped with the wedding, and which was really nice of him, because he and Ivana got along very well. Even when he was president, Ivana had a direct line to him in the White House. She didn't abuse it. She only used it occasionally, but she had it. She absolutely despised the woman who broke up their marriage, Marla Maples, and wouldn't ever call her by her name. the showgirl, she'd say disdainfully. She and Melania had a more civilized relationship. But I think she and Donald still had a connection, which, aside because they had 3 children, who Ivana had been a wonderful mother to and was a wonderful grandmother to her grandchildren, very much a Central European down-to-earth mama and grandmama. And they didn't only have the children in common, they had his success, early success in common. Because she had run the plaza, she had redone the plaza, she had done up various places for him. And they kept a friendship after the divorce. He hardballed her in the divorce. She was quite open about it. He is a businessman who feels he must win and prevail in every deal. And he used that same tactic on her. But she got, I think it was $14 million, plus a townhouse, plus this, plus that, plus the other. So she got quite a few million, which she then managed to increase several fold, because I think she was worth about $100 million, when she died. Well, the marriage to Rosanna Rubicondi was a total disaster. My own feeling is he set out to seduce, captivate, and besought her, and succeeded. And then played really mean and nasty games with her, which I will not go into at this stage. Suffice it to say that the word is that the children absolutely, with justification, loathed him. They got divorced. Then they kept on remaining in touch. You only need to look at photos of Ivana when she married him and when the marriage broke up to see the seriously nasty head games he'd been playing with her. He did everything in his power to taunt, torment, tantalize, and unsettle her. He encouraged her to drink. Now, she'd always liked to drink, but he really practically poured it down her throat, all for worldly advantage. As someone said, he'd pour liquor down her throat. And, oh no, Ivana, you've got to drink. Come on, da-da-da, you're such a sport, you know. And playing on that she's old and she's this and she's that. And she's no fun, and no wonder their marriage isn't working, because if she'd be a little bit more hip and just chill out and cool down and take another drink. And as someone said, they have no doubt that at the end of the day, he would have got her to sign for things she wouldn't remember the following day. And she gained a great deal of weight. She became very, well, I don't want to use the word. You can look at the pictures and see for yourself. She aged dramatically under his adverse influence. It's really sad because people who know her well and love her, or loved her, I suppose you should say, believe that but for Rosanna Rubicondi, Ivana would still be alive. According to the word of the doctors, she died of heart failure. But she was not in great health before. You only needed to look at her to see the damage he had done. And I'm not at this point going into any actual damage he did, because I think it would be indelicate to do so. But rest assured, the damage wasn't only metaphorical, let's put it that way, or notional, or esoteric. It was very sad, very sad. And he ran her health down in the most appalling, but she loved him. And for the rest of his life, they remained in touch, even after they got divorced. But she evidently died of heart failure. The underlying causes are nothing that one would wish to allude to at this point. However, when they emerge, it might not be surprising in the light of what I have said about her relationship with Rosanna Rubicondi, to make the link even more firmly. Very sad. She was in many ways an extraordinary woman, born into a communist system, escaped, brilliant Olympic class skier, model, gorgeous looking woman, very capable, very stylish, devoted wife and mother, especially mother, but she was a very devoted wife to Donald, very. She and Ricardo were, the second time around it wasn't quite as serious, let's put it that way, although for her it was the third time. But the first one was a marriage of convenience to get her out of the communist bloc. But she remained in touch with her first husband as well. They remained great friends. And she and Ricardo remained friends. And Stella, his first wife, never had a bad word to say about her. Although it has to be said, Ivana didn't break up Ricardo and Stella's marriage. So I hope that satisfies your curiosity with regard to Ivana. I'm sorry to hear that she's dead. She died too young, and I'm one of those who believes, had Rosanna Rubicondi not crossed paths with her, she'd have lasted another 20 years. 20. 73 is no age nowadays, especially when you were an Olympic class athlete. Toffee Lover says, oh my, all over the news today in the US is chatter about Hillary Clinton and her daughter having made an 8-episode docuseries about independent, strong women. Oh, Harry's wife is going to be mad. While she talks about doing projects, she never... Sorry. While she talks about doing projects, she never does anything. Hillary got on with it. No news about it. And then announced today it will premiere 9th September with Dr. Jane Goodall, Gloria Steinem, Goldie Hasn't, don't know who that is, Kim Kardashian, and more. Well, now dear, what can I say? Empty vessels make the most noise. We all know that. And Harry and Meghan are both so busy enacting greatness that they don't have the time to be great. You know, if you're busy talking about how wonderful you are and creating a narrative, that's where your energy goes. On the other hand, people of profundity do. They don't say. They just do. You know? Actions speak louder than words. Unless, of course, your objective is to turn yourself into the most talked about individual stroke couple on earth. In which case, you better be beating those empty drums. You better make a lot of noise. Because if you don't make a lot of noise, the rules of fame are really simple. Truly famous people are known for what they do. Until they do something noteworthy, they are not talked about unless they capture the narrative. Think of any world leader. You don't hear about their day-to-day activities. If you hear about their day-to-day activities on a daily basis, it is because they are engineering the publicity. Elizabeth Taylor used to do it. Diana, Princess of Wales, used to do it. Meghan and Harry do it. So where they're concerned, it's something of a family tradition. But the average royal, they don't do it. They go about their activities, their royal engagements, their lives, and what surfaces as newsworthy is born out of their activities, whether royal or personal. They are not born out of greed for attention. That's something entirely different. Live free or die, says Lady C. We the people are far from the fools that the MSM and elitists are happy to believe, and we're not gullible either. Oprah Winfrey was in Nashville on the day the Harkles were reportedly seen going to visit her. And Vivian Thomas adds to that by saying, the body language guy posted a clip earlier where Oprah made a point of saying she was with her father during June when Laurel and Hardy sorry, when Laurel and Hardy apparently paid her a visit. Well, I don't know if you remember when I addressed the issue of the visit. I think I made the point that the gates never opened and they didn't go into the house. But it's interesting that Oprah, knowing that people would pick up on the information that she was so willing to impart to the world, has blown their cover. Yet again, more Bachelor of Science, shall we say, BS. I mean, what are we dealing with here? Well, I know what we're dealing with, but I mean, it just beggars the imagination and belief that this couple and their PR people will keep on creating false narratives. It's as if they think, because what happened yesterday doesn't connect up in their heads or their hearts as to what's happening today or what they're going to do tomorrow. So there is a disjointedness in their thinking and their belief as to how we, the public, perceive their activities. But there's no disjointedness in our perceptions because we can look at the dots and join them together. They are making real fools of themselves. And I wish, because I wish them well, I really do. I wish they would get some sort of treatment, maybe arrive at sanity, because I don't think we can say that they should revert to it, because I doubt very much that either of them has ever been too acquainted with reality. It's really sad. This is a couple, these are people that have so much potential, or had so much potential. They've ruined a lot of it. But when you think back to when they got married, they could have been the world's golden couple. All the things that they have used to lambast the public, they could have used to enchant the public. The mere fact that she had that little touch of African blood could have played so brilliantly. Really sad. Joe Vickers said, "Hi, Lady C, you look beautiful as always." Thank you very much. One does try. It takes me a good 10 minutes to put on my makeup. It does. So I do make the effort. And to those of you who want to know, I put on my own makeup because people have asked, do I have a stylist and makeup artist and hairdresser? No. In the late 60s when I was modeling, a girl did it all herself. I mean, unless you were in a hyper-diaper, super-duper ad, you did everything yourself. You did your hair, you did your makeup, you did your styling, you did pretty much everything yourself. Not nowadays, of course. The model is just a clothes hanger with flesh on it. But in my day, we had to be hairdresser, makeup artist, stylist, charming, sensible. And my goodness, did you have to walk endless go-sees. But enough of that. H&M's PR team did it yet again. Just before Camilla's 75th birthday event, they announced H, with M in attendance, would address the UN, or whatever he's supposed to do. Grabbing the headlines? The next news was his book may be put on hold until next year. So let's see what they tell the world on Sunday on her actual birthday. Tropicus, you're a great cynic. How could you possibly accuse Harry and Meghan of ever trying to rain on anyone's parade? It doesn't even occur to them. They are like people who are genuinely incontinent. They have communicative diarrhea. They know if they are out there 2, 3, 4 times a week, they're going to step on everyone's toes. How deliberate is that? Oh, I'm sure it's calculated against the ones they don't like. And I'm sure they're aware of stepping on the toes of the ones they have less animosity towards. But they don't care, because as far as they're concerned, they are the only 2 people that count, and the rest of the royals are simply jealous of them. But yes, you have been observing very well. But their antics are diminishing return endeavors, because they no longer bump royals out of the center of the picture. They simply sneak onto the stage, screw up the choreography with their own movements, and everybody goes, oh, there go Harry and Meghan again, tone deaf clodhoppers. Cal says, Lady C, you are giving me Betty Davis vibes today. Whatever those are. I love it. Thank you. I wish I knew what Betty Davis vibes were, though. My question to you is, why is it that we are still getting pictures coming out of Wyoming without Megaliah's face showing? What kind of games are they playing? What do you think? Thank you for your videos. They are very informative and entertaining. Thank you so much. That's the object of the exercise. Your friend Kelly from the other side of the pond. Kelly, thanks for the question. Meghan is a Tantalus. Meghan understands that tantalizing means creating a mystery. She doesn't also understand that being a Tantalus in her position undermines her objectives. She thinks that being a Tantalus and keeping herself at the forefront of chatter is going to gain her ever increasing kudos, when in fact it is gaining her ever diminishing kudos. If she had shown her face, there wouldn't be the speculation, is it Meghan, is it not Meghan? She likes people to speculate. She likes creating a mystery. I used to say about my parents, I've got to tell you, with Daddy and Mummy, everything has to be a mystery, because basically they're very dull and boring people, and the only reason why you haven't figured it out yet is that everything is couched and cloaked in mystery. And that means that they think they are interesting. And that means that everybody is so diverted by the mystery that they don't know, that they are really dull and boring, and that ultimately there's very little going on there where they're concerned. I think the same thing applies with Meghan, and to a lesser extent, ironically, with Harry, but certainly with Meghan. Meghan is a self-creation with smoke mirrors and flatuses that she then gets lit with matches. Remember? I don't know about you. When my brother, sister, and I were children, we and all our friends used to go into our bedrooms and light flatuses. Well, Meghan's doing the adult version of that, and it ain't so funny, as the Victorians used to say. And Jenny Williams says, I am beginning to have my doubts about the involvement of Sunshine Sachs in any of this. Harry and Meghan's PR is laughably amateurish. Is it possible that Megsy Baby is managing their PR herself? Well, there is no doubt that Megsy Baby is the architect of practically everything that is her creation and that involves her. But Sunshine Sachs will have some input, as will other PR people, and they will confer with her, and then when they're browbeaten, they'll do as the client pleases. And have no doubt about it, make no mistake, Meghan is well known to also go hiving off and doing her own thing. So I suspect, Jenny Williams, that you have spotted why, one of the reasons why, I should say, not just why, one of the many reasons why their PR is the laughable mess that it is. Aurora, can you please catch that flying pig? I see it has an envelope from OPRAH that says, ha ha, unmask them. Aurora, the flying pig is going to go out of the window if we're not careful. Aurora is chilling. She's not budging. Leon says, as an American, I am horrified at the thought that an undereducated, privileged white man would be elected for such an honor. Presumably he means in regard to the UN. There are few public platforms for well-educated black folks to get public visibility. Therefore, it boggles the mind that such a scarce commodity would be squandered on someone who has little to recommend him except he was born a prince. To us black folks, Mandela is an icon, but to Harry, Mandela is just a PR photo op. Whoever arranged this exposes their utter contempt for the black community. Well, my dear, look no further than Megsy Baby. The woman who presents herself as a sister is the one who has organized it. Let's give credit where it is due. She is in control. Harry is just a puppet on a string. And yes, I agree with you. I think it is an insult to the black community. I also think it's an insult to the world generally, because Nelson Mandela wasn't only a black hero, Nelson Mandela was a hero, full stop. A human being who transcended blackness or whiteness or colour of any type, who taught the world what being a truly evolved spiritual human being is all about, and how to conduct yourself in a truly noble manner, and how to have truly noble beliefs and objectives. Nelson Mandela wasn't only a prince in rank, he was also a prince of a man. And the whole world embraces Nelson Mandela. And I think this is an insult. You're absolutely right as a black person to say it's an insult to the black community. I think it's also an insult to everybody else who's human and isn't black, that you have this so unworthy individual, so inappropriate, when there are so many more worthy people. Why didn't they get Thomas Sowell to do it? That's who they should have got if they wanted someone black and worthy. Anyway, and that's just one of maybe tens of thousands of black people who would have been desirable and worthy. Also, what about getting a white person to honor him who is of significance worldwide? That could have been a possibility too. But to get Harry, but to get Harry shows this is not about honoring Nelson Mandela. This is about bigging up Harry and Meghan and packaging them. This shows that even somebody as great as Nelson Mandela can become a bandwagon upon which opportunists jump for their own self-aggrandizement. It is a disgrace. Whoever organized it is a disgrace. Tanya Bluebell says, American press reporting that Meghan and Harry are concerned their daughter will be written out of royal history. Is this to do with titles? Meghan's children will be used as pawns to keep her connected to the royals, even if her marriage dissolves. Of course the children are going to be used as pawns if and when the marriage collapses. I mean, there's hardly any point in taking out insurance, and when you have arranged that the robbery be committed and they've made off with your jewels, that you don't put in a claim. I mean, you know, that's certainly not a mistake Lily Safra would have made. And I don't think that's a mistake that any sensible person, opportunist or not, makes. So the connection is there. And because I have no doubt that Meghan knows an opportunity when she sees one. That is an insurance policy that will keep on paying out no matter what, and in many different forms. Meghan and Harry are concerned their daughter will be written out of royal history. How is that possible? She is there, and why only their daughter? I know these stories have been floating around, but you need to understand this is another Meghan and Harry plant. Poor us. Everybody's taking advantage of us, starting with that beastly royal family. They're such racists. They're such racists. They only gave me a $40 million wedding. I mean, and it wasn't even my wedding because I got married 3 days before. No. I was forced to take part in the spectacle and to pose as if I was a virgin in white. Oh. Nobly walking down that aisle for the first half because that Prince Charles wanted to walk me down after I managed to. After I was let down so badly by Daddy. Better write another letter to Daddy. I wanted to walk down the hole on my own to show that I'm a total fabrication of myself. Isn't she just? How is it possible to write Lily out of royal history? And no mention of Archie. Notice that? How is it possible? It doesn't make sense. Because even if it should emerge that the rumours about the children had some foundation, they are still, from now on, a part of royal history. Because they feature in the play of life. Yet another bit of nonsense, but it gets people talking. And we're coming to the end. Mimi Steinacre says, just a comment and casual observation. 1. The secrecy with which H&M utilize in order to make their children more attractive to merch is, in my opinion, backfiring. I couldn't agree more. I've made the point that you're about to make. And that's why, sweet Mimi Steinacre, I am repeating it because we are in total agreement. It has quickly devolved into lack of interest. Aside from the misinformation cranked out regarding these two con artists, well, that's your opinion. I would not actually wish to call them con artists because I am far too attached to my worldly goods to share them with Megsy Baby and Harry. I wouldn't even share a hairpin with them. So, there is actually very little interest in the children. We are at a who cares impasse. You're absolutely right. I've made the point before and you've made it again. And I've read it out because it couldn't be truer. If you don't know people and you have no knowledge of people and you're not going to be getting any knowledge of people, you can't have real interest or affection for them. Even if you have some interest, you can't have affection. You can't have affection for children you never see. That's why the royal policy has always been the children are trotted out regularly because everybody loves the beautiful baby and all babies are beautiful, even ugly ones are beautiful, at least in my eyes they are, and I think in the eyes of many people as well. But Megsy Baby knows better. I mean, I'm gonna change that monarchy, and I'm going to update it, you know. I'm going to hit the ground running and let these people know how it's done when you got class. You've got to be classy. And I'm just going to do things my way. And my way's got to be in opposition to any way they did, because I know best, because I was a star of Suits. I am a woman of color from California, proud to look white, proud when it suits me to claim to be black. The best of both worlds. Well, nobody gives a continental damn really, which is very sad, except to find out whether the two children actually do exist in any real sense, which is a public obsession, and whether the two children have a right to be in the line of succession, which is a valid obsession, and whether the two children were born by Meghan, which is an understandable obsession as a result of the behaviour that Meghan has resorted to, and to a lesser extent, but via his supportiveness, Harry. You see, sometimes when you create a mystery, it has not the desired effect, but quite another effect. And we end on this note, because it is a valid observation. Christine Harding says, I can't speak for the rest of the world, but rest assured, Lady C, the great British public has become pretty good at reading between the lines of palace statements and silences. I'm delighted to hear it, Christine Harding. I am delighted to hear it. I have a great deal of faith in the ability of the average man and woman to discern the truth and to figure out what's going on. I think Joe and Jane Public have far greater gifts than they are often given credit for by people who regard themselves as privileged. And in that number, I would put the mainstream media, all of it, press, television, etc., the wokeries, the brokeries, the crockeries, and the dockeries. In other words, all the idiots who think that they are so much cleverer than Joe and Jane Public, that they can deceive Joan and Jane Public, when Joan and Jane Public have seen through them long, 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 long ago. It's very reassuring that the public understands what's going on and the games that are played and why the palace needs to get people to read between the lines and why the palace is often silent. You can't be dignified if you go down in the gutter and roll with pigs. It's as simple as that. And on that note, I would say thank you very much for listening. I hope this has been of some interest to you. If it has, please like, share, subscribe, press the notification bell, and please keep the questions and comments coming in. As I keep on saying, but it's so obvious, this can't be done without you. God bless and goodbye.